Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. This is Heather with Creativity by Heather B.E. Today I have a fun 5 cards, 1 kit video for you, and I am using the Simon Says Stamp August 2020 card kit. This is called Picnic Parade. It is stacked full of cuteness. I looked at this first and I wasn't sure if I wanted it, and I'm so glad I got it. It comes with a lot of Doodlebug and things. So this first one is 2 Barbie Cute stickers. Then you also get 12 sheets of 6x6 Barbie Cute paper from Doodlebug, and not all of them are there because I actually had already pulled a bunch of them out to use. You get 2 stamp sets. The first one is a 3x4 Summertime Barbecue, and it's got some great "You're invited," "We're having a picnic," a cute little grill. And then you also get this large 6x8 Hello Sunshine stamp set. And this stamp set has some great sentiments. I actually only end up using the stamp set for 1 card, but you will definitely see more videos with this stamp set. Great for encouraging cards. You also get 2 Slimline envelopes, the red and then also Dandelion. And I love that they have the peel and sticks so you don't have to worry about licking them. And then you get these cute little ants that are also from Doodlebug. I also want to show you that whenever I do any type of cards, I do out my sketches in a life planner, a calendar, and you can use any type of planner that you want. I actually use an Erin Condren life planner, and this is one I use specifically for my card making. So I put any videos I'm going to do, and then I add my sketches in here. You can definitely, I'll leave the link for that life planner. As always, all the links will be listed below, but that's a great way to kind of keep everything together. All right, let's get started. So for card number 1, I am using the My Favorite Things Mod Rectangles, the Lawn Fawn Stitch Circles, and I'm also going to be using the stickers that came with the kit. So I used a piece of the pattern paper and I used the rectangles to cut out a piece of the pattern paper, and then I'm also going to use a piece of the green pattern paper that came in the kit as well. I did cut one of the smaller Lawn Fawn stitch circles, and this is just out of 80-pound Nina cardstock. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to trim that off because I want my circle to have those same kind of rounded and straight edges like the die does. I'm going to use my Lawn Fawn glue tube to go in and add my adhesive. I'm just going to put that all over the back and then lay that down on my panel. And my panel is an A2 size, and because for sake of time, I do not show me adding all of these panels to card bases. However, I will tell you that all of my card bases are Nina 110-pound cardstock. So once I get that down, I am going to take my circle and I'm going to use my Tim Holtz Tonic trimmer, and I'm going to use that to cut just a little bit off my circle. I'm actually checking to see if my panel is straight, which most likely it's probably not because I struggle with that. So I'm adding my half circle in. I'm just going to hold it down and trim that little bit off. I'm not taking a whole lot off because I'm going to actually add some of the stickers, and I'm going to use one of the little sentiments that says "We're having a picnic" from the Summertime Barbecue stamp set. To add the "We're having a picnic," I decided I wanted to use a red and green ink. So for the We're Having A, which is on the top, I am going to ink that up with the Simon Hurley Create Bee Sting ink. This is a really great bright red ink. Deep dark red ink. Let's try that. It's not so bright. It's more a deep dark ink. And I just used a piece of scrap that I cut off of my circle there to cover up the bottom part of the sentiment. You can use whatever you have laying around. And for the picnic, I don't need to cover it up. I'm just going to take that part of the stamp, the top part of the stamp off, and ink up the picnic with the Simon Hurley Create Overzealous, and that's going to give my 2 colors. I really wanted to use those colors to tie in the background. So now that I have that done, I need to create with the stickers what I'm going to put on it. And one of the tricks that I like to do when I'm working with stickers like this is to take a piece of cellophane, you can take a piece of acetate, anything, and I decided I wanted to start with the main picnic basket because it says we're having a picnic. And this could be like an invite card. It could be, you could put whatever sentiment you wanted on the inside. So now that I have that on my cellophane, I can take the other stickers I want and kind of tuck them in behind. I'm going to put a glass of lemonade over the front. And then that allows me to kind of keep everything together and pick it up all at once, and now I can stick it onto my panel. So I know that I have everything placed before I actually stick it down to what I want, where I want it to stay permanently. So once I get that down, I am going to add a cute little ant to it. I just love the little ants that came. There's a bunch in the sticker set. There's also some in the little ant sheet by itself. I also added a red and green heart and a little firefly, once again, just to kind of pull that red and green together. And then I am going to adhere this down to the top of my pattern paper. And I did decide to give this a little bit of dimension, so I'm using some 3M foam tape to pop that up. And once I mount this onto a card base, this card is finished. I love this pattern paper. This pattern paper was one of my favorites. It was picnicky, barbecue, it had the rainbows. I thought this card was so fun and cheery. So that is card number 1. And for card number 2, I decided to make a tag. So this one isn't actually a card, it's going to be a tag, but it's going to be an invite. One of the things I love about Doodlebug paper is you get a lot of sheets that have these little boxes on it. And we're going to use another sheet like this later on in card number 4. Obviously, these papers are double-sided. And I also use some of the other pattern paper. I thought about making 2 tags, and I actually am only going to use this tag here. So I used the Brutus Monroe tags for this, and I did have a little bit of adhesive, and I'm just using a Xyron adhesive remover to get that off. I will have all supplies listed below. Brutus Monroe does not sell these tags anymore, so I did link below to 2 other different tags dies that you could use. Any type of tag die would work for this. So I decided to cut the little grill out. I like the blue, I thought it matched the background, and I'm cutting apart my stamp. The stamp says you're invited, and it was 1 large piece, and I wanted it to be 2. So I just cut it apart. If you're somebody that doesn't like to cut your stamps, I completely understand. You could just take a piece of tape, purple tape. I like to use the Heavy Doodle memo tape and mask that off, stamp it up, pull it off, and do it that way. I had no problems cutting this apart. So I wanted it to be a little bit wonky, and I'm just going to stamp that down with some Versify Black Onyx ink. Once I get this stamped out, I am going to add my Fire Up the Grill. And I had thought about backing it on some pattern paper, which I actually did, and I ended up cutting it off. So one of the things, if you are not sure about something, try it. You can always remove it. They have some great adhesive removers. You can cut it around it like I did on this one. So, play with it. See what works. See what you like. I'm just trying to figure out if I want to put this at a diagonal, if I want it straight up, and I did decide to just do it straight up. I am going to add some to the back. Off screen, I had stamped out some of the stamps from the summertime barbecue and colored those up, and I decided to use 2 of the grill tools just up in the corner. I didn't want to put a lot on the back because this is going to be where you have room to write the date, the time, all the information about the barbecue, and I'm also going to add a little ant down there on the bottom. To finish this tag off, I'm going to use some of the Lawn Fawn lawn cuts. I believe it's the Blue Jay that I used at the top. And there's our simple little tag. This will be so easy to create, mass produce, send out a great cute little invitation to your next barbecue. And that is card or tag number 2. Okay, for number 3, I'm going to make a slimline card, and actually 3 and 4 are both going to be slimline cards. I am using the outside part of the Lawn Fawn Lift-A-Flat Slimline die. I'm not going to be using the inside. And along the sticker sheets on both of them was this great red striped stickers. They actually, I had to cut them off, but they did have sticky on the back. So I decided to place one down, and I will tell you, this card is the one that caused me the most frustration. This card took me forever. I didn't like it, so we'll go through some of the things that happened with this card. For my background, I am going to be using the Altenew ink blending tool. I really like this tool. I went back and forth. I know there are some other tools like this out there, but I really wanted one that was white. It's easier for me to see if it's clean. I can kind of tell what color. I will have this also linked down below for you. And I am using the Distress Oxide Speckled Egg, and I'm also going to be using the Salty Ocean. So in hindsight, I should have put this on first before I added my sticker. And you can see there I'm covering it up, and then at some point I realized, you know what, I have another one. It really doesn't matter. I can get ink all over this one. I'll just put the other one on. So that's one of the first things that I did on this card. I was like, what am I thinking? I'm making this harder than it needs to be. So the other thing I'm going to do is when I'm placing my stickers down, and the issue is dimension is what I'm going to run into. So to spruce up the background a little bit, because these are oxides, they will react with water, I do have a little mini mister, and I keep this at my desk. I just added some Perfect Pearls into it. I spray it, and it gives it that nice little shine, which I liked. It kind of gave a little bit more to the background. I'm just showing you here how I'm cleaning off that Altenew ink blending tool. I just take a baby wipe, and these are just very, very lightly damp baby wipes, and then I just go over it on my cloth. So it comes off very easily, of course stores back in like the other tools, and I put it away. So now I've added my second strip. So now I have a strip without any of the ink on it, which is good. I'm going to cut that off. And then I'm going to start laying my stickers down. This is the part that became the frustration. So trying to figure out what I wanted where and how I was going to create dimension, because when I started looking at the stickers, a lot of them, there weren't really like people or things like that. It was food and stuff. And I didn't want to have little ants carrying everything. So what I decided to do was to use foam tape to create dimension. And you'll see there that the picnic table, I have foam tape behind it, and I'm going to go back in and pull that off and actually remove that foam tape so that it appears to be behind everything else. So I'm adding some little trees, and I'm doing the same thing with the trees. The first one I just put down. The second one I'm going to add some foam tape. And remember, these are stickers, so the foam tape is strictly for the dimension and kind of look like things are behind each other. The sentiment is going to be my next frustration. So I decided to add it's summertime, and I think that's what it says. Yes, it's summertime. And I did not like it at all. So I took it off, as you can see there. When I took it off, of course, it pulled some of the paper, which was no big deal. I could cover it up. So then I decided I'm going to stamp the sentiment on a rainbow, which was a good idea, except for, you can see there, it's smeared. Because this is stickers, they're glossy. It's not going to stay on it. So I realized it. I'm changing my little picnic table so it looks like it's behind our little bottles of Coke. And thank goodness I'm using my Lawn Fawn stamp chamois, and all the ink came off, and I was able to get it off of the sky. And then I just took a small Nouveau blending brush, and I'm going to go back in and add some sky. I'm also going to take my little mini mister and spritz it, so that way that area also has the spritz on it. Telling you, this card, in the end, I ended up liking it okay. But this card, if you've ever sat down and just made a card and just everything you did, it just did not come out right. That was this card. And one of the things that I noticed when I was done is I actually only stamped 2 of the cards, I believe. The rest of it was using stickers, which was kind of nice to actually use something a little bit different. So there you can see I've got my card. I used some strategically placed clouds, and I am going to take off that little firefly on top of that tree. The more I looked at it, it just seemed to look a little strange. This was one of those cards I had to do and walk away from, honestly. I did decide to kind of jazz up the inside a little bit, so I added some ants, the little burger, some lemonade, and just to kind of do a little bit on the inside. So that is card number 3. Okay, for card number 4, I am using a die set from Craft Galley, and this is actually from their website, and it's really cool. It cuts out the area that has all these little squares, and one of the pieces of paper that was included in the 6x6 pad had squares that almost were that exact same size. So when I saw that paper, I thought this die will be fabulous to use. And this was such a simple card to put together. I originally did this die and cut it out in a yellow, I think it was Lawn Fawn Sunflower yellow cardstock, and I didn't really like the yellow. So I went back and cut it again, which is what you're seeing here, and I used the black. And I like the black much better. It made all of the little colors in the pieces pop. So there was a barbecue, the BBQ was in there, so I just definitely knew I wanted to use that. And what I'm going to do is just take my tape runner and run it all over the card. And then I'm going to kind of position it. I'm going to set the squares that I want down on my mat, as you can see here, and then I'm going to just place my grid over top of it and push down on it. I found that was the easiest way to do it, so I could see, because some of them I am going to move around a little bit. Some of them had words on them that wouldn't quite fit in the box, but if I slid it up a little bit, then just the picture showed. So some of them I had to kind of maneuver around a little bit, but I found this was the simplest way. And I just went through and chose little squares that I thought worked well together. I chose a lot of them that had white backgrounds because I felt like that would really stand out against that black grid. I'm sorry for my head getting in the way there. And once I get everything, all the little squares on here that I want, I am going to just add some liquid glue to the back of this and attach it to a Slimline card base. After the last card, this card was very relaxing, let's say. It was just kind of picking little pictures out and figuring out where I wanted them. I really enjoyed this card. So I'm just going in and adding everything in. And I am working, I forgot to mention this earlier, that is a Ranger silicone mat that I just recently purchased. I saw it on another video. I want to say Mindy Egan had it. And I loved it because it was clear, so I could still see my Alta Nu mat underneath. So I'll have that link down below as well. So now that I've got all of my squares on, I just added some Lawn Fawn liquid glue. I'm going to place this down onto my Slimline card panel, and that is my card number 4. This was a really fun card to do, and I actually had enough squares left where I could do another one, which might be fun to do for like a summertime card for somebody. Just trying to get, it seemed like every time I would put the die down, one of those little like areas in the middle would pop up. And so I was just trying to get all those down. And there we go. So that is card number 5. I think it's really fun and bright. And I did use some of the little hearts that came on the ants sheet. It has a bunch of hearts on it just to kind of add a little bit more. All right, so we are at card number 5. This is the only card that I used the Hello Sunshine stamp set, and I stamped that out in VersaFine Onyx Black ink on a piece of sunflower cardstock from Lawn Fawn. And then I took a piece of the pattern paper that was these yellow stripes, and I used my Tim Holtz trimmer and cut those. And I believe they're a 1/2 inch is what they are wide. And nothing is glued down here. I'm just kind of going through and placing my sun rays where I want them to go. Now, this is definitely a step you could skip. I just wanted to kind of lay them out and make sure I had them where I wanted them, but I could have easily laid this out, added some glue, and just put them down instead of doing this first. So if you wanted to make this card go a little bit quicker, that's something you could do as well. For me, it's just easier sometimes to lay it out so I can see and then kind of pick it up like I am here and go back in and adhere everything down. So once I get everything adhered down, I am going to add a little bit of Distress Oxide ink to where my sentiment is. It seemed a little flat to me, and that's one of the nice little tricks you can do is if you are using colored cardstock, if you just take any type of ink, I'm going to use Distress Oxides, I believe mustard seed, but you can take any color ink that matches your cardstock and it'll give it a little bit of a shadow and kind of some dimension to it. It really takes your cardstock to the next level, and it's very simple to do. So I'm just going in and laying down these last few rays. This was a very simple card. And I love that polka dot background. That paper was also included in the kit. And here I'm going to get out I have the small waffle flower media mat. This is a great media mat because it definitely holds your piece of paper, your cardstock, whatever you're inking up in place, which I love. And I am going to use the Distress Oxide mustard seed. And I'm just using one of my Erin Lee Creative yellow blending brushes. These are white bristles again, which I tend to gravitate more towards just because it's easier for me to see the color on it and whether I cleaned it well or not. And once I get the outside, I'm going to take my brush and just wipe off as much of that ink as I can. And then I'm going to go back in the center because I wanted to add some ink to the center, but I just wanted it to be a very, very light wash of ink. I am adding some Nuvo Deluxe glue here. However, when I actually put this down, I'm going to decide that I want some dimension on it because the rays are going behind it, so I am going to use 3M foam tape to pop that up. So now all it's left to do is flip my card panel over and use my scissors to cut all of those off. Once I get all the strips cut off, I am going to check, like especially some of the ones that were going straight from the bottom to the top, and make sure that they were glued down. And to add a little bit of shine, I'm going to go in with my Nuvo shimmer pen, and I'm just going to do some shimmer all over the main part of the sun. And I'm also going to take that and go up each of the strips in the sun. This was a really fun card kit. Like I said, I enjoyed it because I didn't have a lot of coloring to do. I didn't do a lot with the stamps. It was really fun to create with the stickers and just pattern paper, which is something I very rarely do. So if that's something that you're missing or something that you enjoy, this is a great kit to pick up. As of time of this filming, this kit is still available, although you can get the components separately as well, and I will have all of that linked below. Thank you so much for joining me today with this 5 cards 1 kit for the Simon Says Stamp August kit. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I also have an Instagram page and a Facebook page as well. Thank you so much and have a great day.